Clayton. I'm trying this strategy here of giving you some feedback verbally. I only made a few comments on the second half of your Hardy draft, and they're a little vague, but instead of typing some things out, I just thought I would say them to you. First of all, my apologies. Has been shamefully long since I've returned this to you, and I am sorry. I, of course, could go through a litany of excuses, but I won't. I'll just apologize. So I think the biggest thing that I want to ask about this chapter is, first of all, I mean, I remember, your readings early on, and I kind of looked briefly through those again. They're very compelling, and I love the close readings. Your ability to summarize what each scholar is saying, and you keep it from sounding just like an annotated bibliography, because you always kind of string it back to your own phenomenological reading and kind of how it measures up. You even put the scholars in conversation with one another. So all that seems really solid to me. So then my question is about your question, the question of why. And it's funny because as I was reading through the annotated section where you're going through each of the scholars, right? And you kept always bringing it back to the question why. At some point, I made a comment in the margin where I said, why this question why? And then I had to laugh when we got towards the very end of that, because you sort of say, why am I asking this question? And maybe it's the wrong question to be asking. So I'm just wondering if you've thought more about that since you've written this. And I guess I'll say I'm not totally convinced that is working, that bringing or asking every scholar that you look at to match up to that question. As I was reading through it, I was feeling a little bit like, why is this? And now I'm trying to scroll down. I should have left it at that spot. I'd actually gone back to the beginning of your chapter, is what I was looking at just now, to see, when you first posed that as your question. And it did make me think, is there a difference between what we ask of a novel when we're just reading it, so for your phenomenological reading, and then what we ask in our scholarship? Because it does make sense to me that when you are reading the novel, and all the pain, as you say, would make you constantly kind of ask, why? Why does this have to happen this way? Or why is Hardy making this happen, right? But I wonder if, a scholarly article sets out to answer that same question. I don't know. I'm not saying here that it's not working at all. I'll just say there is something that feels a little bit like maybe there's too much weight on that question. And I didn't really notice that when you were doing your close reading of the novel. I noticed it more when we got to the scholarly section. And so I think that's what raised the question for me. Do we ask the same kind of question when we're doing a close reading, or just when we're just reading the text as readers versus reading it as for the purposes of writing an academic article? Sorry, I'm trying to scroll down here to where you kind of talk about the why of the question. I'm probably not going to be able to find it fast enough. And I don't want this to get too long. At the end of it, I was going to say anyways, if you want to Zoom and talk about it, or FaceTime and talk about it, we can. The only other thing that made me also just kind of stop and say, and part of it is that, I'm bringing these things up